Standing at the podium during my promotion party, I watched as Emily raised her champagne glass, a perfect smile on her face. Then she spoke. To my husband, the biggest loser I've ever known. Laughter followed, sharp and immediate. It cut through me, echoing in my ears, making my stomach drop. I was the man they were celebrating, yet I felt like the punchline of a cruel joke. They say success is the best revenge, but no one tells you how meaningless it feels when the person who is supposed to stand by your side never believed in you to begin with. For the past 10 years, I had built everything from the ground up. A successful real estate firm, a dream home, a reputation for turning failures into stepping stones. But Emily never saw the foundation, only the cracks. She had been my college sweetheart. Back then, she was ambitious, magnetic, and full of energy. She could own any room she walked into. I loved her fiercely. But over the years, that confidence of hers had turned sharp. At first, the criticism was subtle, disguised as teasing. Then, it became something I could no longer ignore. The promotion party at the downtown Hilton was supposed to be a night of shared success. Emily had helped pick my suit, chosen the venue, coordinated with my assistant. But standing there, listening to her cruel toast, I realized she had choreographed the entire evening for herself. The room filled with uneasy chuckles. My colleague shifted awkwardly, unsure of how to react. I forced a smile, raised my glass, but my hand trembled. I looked at her, searching for any sign of remorse, but there was none. Just that same smirk, sharp as a knife. The ride home was suffocating. Emily sat beside me, scrolling through her phone, her lips curling into a satisfied grin every few seconds. You didn't have to do that, I finally said, keeping my voice controlled. Do what? She asked, pretending not to know. Humiliate me. Call me a loser in front of everyone. She let out a cold laugh. Oh, come on, Jason. Don't be so dramatic. It was a joke. She shrugged, barely looking up from her phone. Besides, it's not like they don't already think it. Her words hit harder than any drink ever could. My grip on the steering wheel tightened, my knuckles turning white. Later that night, I sat alone in my home office, nursing a glass of scotch, but it did nothing to take the edge off. Something was gnawing at me, something I couldn't shake. Then my phone buzzed. A message. From her. Can't wait to see you tomorrow. He's so pathetic. My heart pounded. My breath caught in my throat. That message was not meant for me. The next few days blurred into a storm of anger and suspicion. I started paying closer attention. The late-night phone calls. The sudden work trips. The way she clutched her phone like a lifeline, disappearing into the bathroom for long stretches of time. One evening, when she left for yoga, I followed her. It didn't take long to find what I had been looking for. Through the window of a dimly lit restaurant, I saw her, seated across from a man, laughing, leaning in close. Her hand rested on his arm, her smile warm, easy, familiar. A kind of smile I hadn't seen in months. I didn't confront her. Not yet. Instead, I started planning. I dug into our finances and found unauthorized transfers to an account under her name. I hired a private investigator who provided me with photos, recordings, and a full dossier on her lover, Ryan, a mid-level executive at her firm. The pieces fell into place like a puzzle designed to break me. But I wasn't the one who was about to fall apart. The humiliation, the condescension, the constant erosion of my confidence, it had all been part of her plan to justify what she was doing behind my back. But I was not the loser she had painted me as. I called my lawyer, revised my will, and quietly moved my assets into a trust that only I could access. Then, I installed hidden cameras around the house, capturing her private phone calls. The most damning piece of evidence was a recording of her and Richard discussing their plans, draining my accounts and leaving me with nothing. They had planned to discard me once they got what they wanted. 2 weeks later, Emily threw a dinner party. She insisted I be there, despite the growing distance between us. She entertained our guests as if nothing was wrong, keeping up the facade, laughing, playing the role she had perfected. I waited for the right moment. After dessert, I stood, clinking my glass for attention. "I'd like to make a toast," I said, keeping my voice steady. Emily's eyes locked onto mine, cautious. "To my wife, Emily," I said, turning toward her. "For her dedication, her ambition, and her creativity. You've truly outdone yourself." The room went silent. Then I clicked the remote. On the living room wall, the video played, clear as day. Emily and Richard's voices filled the room, discussing their plan in detail. Gasps echoed through the space. Emily lunged for the remote, but I stepped aside. "Sit down, Emily," I said firmly. "We're just getting started." "David, this isn't, save it," I cut her off. "You called me a loser. But let me tell you what a winner looks like." I laid it all out. The trust, the divorce papers already filed, the prenup that left her with nothing. Then I revealed the final blow. Her lover had been fired after an anonymous tip exposed their affair. His marriage was also falling apart. Emily's face twisted in fury. "You think you're better than me? You're pathetic, David." Her words did not affect me anymore. They meant nothing. "You thought you could ruin me," I said, "but you underestimated me. That's the thing about losers. We know how to turn the odds in our favor." She stormed out, slamming the door behind her. The silence that followed was deafening. But for the first time, I welcomed it. The aftermath was brutal for her. She lost her job, her reputation, and the friends who had once admired her saw her for who she really was. Meanwhile, I focused on moving forward. The divorce was finalized quietly. I sold the house. Starting over was not easy, but it was necessary. One evening, sitting in my new apartment overlooking the city, I thought about everything that had happened. Emily's voice still echoed in my mind sometimes, but it no longer had power over me. Because in the end, I had won. They say success is the best revenge, but the real victory is walking away with your dignity intact, leaving behind nothing but the wreckage of betrayal.